Hey everyone, and welcome back once again this Sunday evening or afternoon, wherever you are joining us from. Here back with Slipstream Racing League for round 2 of the current season here on F1 2021, and this one it is going to be for the British Grand Prix, one of the most interesting ones that we usually have during the calendar that the guys go on through. We got another full grid of 20 drivers here. Last week we did not have, I think, more than 10 finish the race, just depending on a few issues that did happen during the session. Let's see how many will make it all the way to the end on this session here. Provided it's Silverstone, should be a bit more interesting as well. We'll see if it's going to be a dry session throughout or if it's going to get a bit wet. I'm not sure. We'll see what's going to happen. Then we have a few drivers getting out on track here already. We'll have a better look at the grid in just a bit later on in the session. So getting started with Q1 here. Under 18 minutes left on the session, just about 16 and a half minutes left now, as everyone's going to get on out and just get a few laps in, and let's see how that session is going to go, and then we can just go onwards from there. We'll get a few stats up on screen to at least have a look what it is we're looking at here with these guys. I think I'll keep the lap data on at least for now, and probably keep tires on, maybe or maybe not. Let's probably just take that off for now and just keep an eye and see what's happening there out on track at the moment. So it was a bit interesting last week, especially with qualifying. Let's see how the qualifying session goes for at least for this week for round 2. We did have a few issues come up last week with the game still being that new, and still a few issues in it in terms of performance of the cars and whatnot, and also with everyone still getting used to driving the 2021 cars. So that's still a bit of an issue going on. I think everyone's gotten a bit better of a handle on it so far coming into this week, so we'll see how the British GP goes. Should be a lot more better though. We got I think a few switch ups with the driver lineup, at least for this week here. We'll see what that's going to be about in just a bit. So quite a few cars out on track already, so gonna get a bit busy, especially in qualifying one. Always tends to get a bit busy on track, where especially when we do have a full grid of 20 drivers. Hopefully we can have this continue week after week, going all the way to the end of the season. I'll have a bit more information provided next week in terms of the dates, if we can, for all the races, or at least the order in which we're going to have these races come on through for the Sunday division here with Slipstream Racing on IG8Live Esports. Also guys, thanks for joining us. For everyone who is currently joining on with us, whether it's on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, welcome to all of you guys who are joining on the stream. Please do make sure you guys leave a like on the YouTube stream, and make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Do appreciate when you guys do that. And if you're watching from Twitch, make sure you guys follow us there, and on Facebook same goes for that as well. Also guys, do remember there is the link in the description of the video to join our channel Discord, and also to join in the league's Discord for Slipstream Racing, the league we're currently streaming for there. Their Discord link should be in the video description. Alright, so we got a few cars on hot laps here at the moment. We should expect to see a few laps come in just a bit, so we'll see what that's going to be about here. Where is Walk on Track? Trying to have a look at him here right now. I think he's still going through Sector 1 here at the moment, about to enter into Sector 2. Got Extremist currently with a first lap time in a 127.3 there. And Scotty now takes over that with a 127.1. I've seen him driven quite a few races before, so Scott is a pretty fast guy. I do expect him to be competing out front there, at least with these guys for qualifying 3. We'll see what that's going to be like when we do get around to that. Should be a bit interesting this week with Young Racing here at Silverstone. Now we got Glock taking away the fastest lap time, 126.4. Seems we're getting even faster and faster out there on track, so let's see what's going to happen. In the meanwhile, we're waiting for Walker here to get across the line, and still running in Sector 3 at the moment. Seems to have Stu in front of him. Hopefully he doesn't get caught up or in a bit of traffic with that there, because I think Stu is probably trying to get a lap going. Now he's on a lap himself there, so let's see how that works out. Gets a pretty good exit and gets the fastest time as well, a 126.0, 4 tenths faster than anyone else on the grid there at the moment, so not a bad lap from here. We got Neil here in the Mercedes. Let's see what his lap time is going to look like as he's going to Sector 3 now. Do have quite a few more drivers still in the pits. We got a few drivers coming out on their out laps right now. As you can see, still quite a busy track, but I think everyone's giving enough space to the other drivers around them, so as to not get anyone caught up in a bit of traffic and just ruin their laps here. So far as we have it, Neil goes up to 6. So leaderboard at the moment with just under 12.5 minutes remaining here. I'll just switch this on over to someone else currently running a lap here. We got Cody in the Aston Martin getting around. So Walker currently fastest on the session, Glock second, Scotty down to third, Extreme is down to fourth, got Christoph's down to fifth, Neil into sixth, we got Tyler to seventh, Stu goes eighth, Beefy is still on a hot lap out there, so still waiting to see what his lap time is going to look like. 2 drivers out of this. Nick did require it just at the start of this, for whatever reason did. Mazepin out. Not really surprised there. So I don't know if the name carries the history with it. We'll see what that's gonna be like during the session. Cody goes up to 7th with that there. Where is Beefy on track here right now? Driving in the AlphaTauri here. Alright, so we're waiting for him to get through Sector 3 to see what his lap time is going to be like. Other than that, we do have Scooby Vintage and Mr. Rage on hot laps as well. Do expect their lap times to come in pretty shortly here. I'm not sure if any of them are in front. I think Vintage might be in front. He might be in front of Beefy right now, so let's see what's... no, he's getting back in the pits if that's the case there. So should be Beefy to be getting across the line next year, and let's see where the lap time is going to look like. Goes second fastest here now, a 126.4 so far. And that's just behind his teammate Walker at 126.0. Not a bad time from him. Actually about 400 of a second faster than what Glock did in the Mercedes. The Mercedes are down 3rd and 5th at the moment. We got AlphaTauri, P1, P2, but really not too bad. Let's see if they can hold that through the entire session going on here. Got X here and trying to get a lap in, I think. I'm not sure how well that's going for him. Mr. H in the Red Bull, trying to have a look, see if he's having a fast lap going, but looks like he invalidated that current lap there. So that's going to be him trying that once again on the Vintage at the moment. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we got Scooby in the Alpine, just went across the line at 129.7. Not the best of time here. Compared to what we got going on at the grid at the moment, but I think it's still quite an interesting time. Might try to improve that as much as he can getting through qualifying. On with Clarky here in the McLaren over in Sector 2, about to get through into Sector 3. And might be glitching around a bit. Walker already retiring off the session, quite happy with his time. And that's an invalidated lap from Clarky. Unfortunately, we'll have to try it again. On with the Williams driver access here. Let's see where he's going to be going by the end of this current lap. Hopefully he gets a pretty good time in. Trying to have a look on the lap data shown on the right top hand corner of the screen there. Sorry about that, guys. Just give me 1 second. Let me just check something here. Alright guys, back on once again. Let's see what we did mix here out here. Looks like Williams got some pretty good lap times in. I see 4th and 5th. Okay, so just 5.5 minutes remaining for Q1, with majority of the grid having your lap times in, except for Nick and Mazepin. It looks like we're having a very wet race, which is going to be a bit interesting as well to see what's going to be happening in terms of safety cars in that. Because we know with a dry race, we're kind of what we're going to be expecting. So let's see if the same will stand there for a wet race. I'm not sure if it's going to be a wet race start, but it looks like it might be in terms of information we're getting from drivers so far, because seeing that might be a very wet race. Definitely looks like we're getting a wet race start. So let's see what's going to happen. So thanks to Nick and Beefy for that information there. And also thanks to Wildflower for hosting us on Twitch. And hello here, thank you for joining on the chat. I think it's going to be a bit interesting if we do get a full wet start on the race, though. We'll see what's going to happen with that, because it's just going to be just a little bit different in terms of having a dry one. Just some of the drivers, some of these guys have a better setup in terms of running on a dry track rather than a wet one. So we'll see if they're able to make minor adjustments to their differential in terms of getting around to that. And just adjusting to the wet session, as it's going to be majority of our drivers getting retired from the session here right about now. Just under probably about 3 minutes remaining here. If we do get that right, I'm not sure at the moment. We'll have a look. I think a few cars probably still trying to get an improved time. Remember, usually we're supposed to have the top 15 going on over into qualifying 2. We'll see what's going to be the case for that, with Nick retiring early off in the session. Might just be at about 14 maybe. We'll see what's going to happen. Trying to switch it on to right about now, see if we can have a better view of someone else running a lap. Yeah, so just under 3.5 minutes remaining. Let's see what that's going to be like as we get on over to Q2. Going to be a bit more interesting in there as well. Definitely interested to see what the race start is going to be looking like, if it's going to be full wet or not. Going to be interesting. I haven't had a full wet start in quite a while, and we haven't done much races in quite a while as well since closing off on 2020. Trying to see if we have anyone else running a lap at the moment. So Vintage about to get started on his lap here right about now. Let's see if he can improve his time. Down in the drop zone right now with that 142.5. Did not make a good time on that. Usually makes some better lap times here, so maybe not having the best of luck out there with the Ferrari at the moment. So let's see if he's able to improve the lap time going forward here. I think Clark is still trying to get a lap time in. Let's see if he actually did do it on this one. He did get a good lap time in up to P4. 126.4 holds up pretty well with that for now. I think we're pretty good in the 126s going through for Q1 at the moment. We'll see what the lap times look like by the time we get on to Q2 and Q3. We should have some cloudiness start to settle in by the time we get around to Q3 as well. Going over to a wet race to see what's going to happen with that case there. I'm not sure if the entire race is going to be wet or not. It might dry out maybe to the end. It just kind of depends on how the session is going to be starting off. But had a feeling we might be having some rain today here for this race. But we'll change things up quite a bit. We really don't get too many wet races during a season. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. So quite a few drivers with no lap times in. We'll see where they go in terms of starting position on this. Just switch that back to the overhead view. I think there's a few drivers still running. It looks like Tyler might still be running a lap there. Let's have a look in the Alpine at the moment. Going a bit wide on that. Still trying to get a lap through, but invalidated already. So I think that's going to be the end for him. Scotty on an out lap, trying to get one more lap in. Let's have a look at that right about now in the Haas here. And he does get across the line in time to get that lap started. So I'm going to stay on board with him throughout this lap. As we can see, a very short run down into turn 1 is what it's actually going to be at that race start there. So it's going to be very interesting in that braking zone, and not a lot of room for too many cars to go through at the same time. So we'll see what's going to happen. And he does go a little bit too wide, messes that lap up. I think that's going to be it for him there. No chance of getting a faster lap in by going that wide there. And I see clock is already back into the pits. Timer is already up here for Q1, so we're just going to wait for the results and then head straight on over into Q2. I think we're just waiting for Scotty and Tyler to retire their cars off, and then we should be able to move over to the next session here. Alright, there we go. So qualifying results for Q1. Looks like Walker takes the fastest lap. So AlphaTauri locking on the front row still with this one here. We'll see what's going to continue throughout Q2 and Q3. So 126.0 from Walker. Beefy 126.3. Not too bad time from them. Glock there in third. Clark in fourth. We got X in fifth. Droft taking 6. Mr. H in 7. Scotty 8. Cody in 9th. Neil in 10. Christoph 11. Extremist 12. Got Vintage in 13. Tyler made 14 with that. Scooby there in 15. And that's going to be our top 15 going over into Q2. Looks like both Alpine actually made it through. One Red Bull out, one Ferrari out, one Haas, one McLaren, and one Aston Martin out of qualifying 2 here. So they're going to have to start in the positions they were left on the grid leaderboard there. Alright, so head straight into Q2. Let's see what's going to happen in this case here. Alright guys, 15 minutes here for qualifying 2 and 15 drivers in this, so let's see what's going to happen in this session. Getting our stats up on screen. We're going to keep lap data on, let's keep telemetry off and tires on, at least for now. And let's see what's going to happen as the guys start to get out on track. Looks like we already got a AlphaTauri and an Aston Martin out on the grid. I think that was Extremist getting out for us on track. Alright, so as they get out on their outdoors, we can have a look at what tires these guys are selecting to run this on here, just in case it's going to be a dry start for the race and then get wet. It just kind of depends what's going to happen there. I'm not sure if they're able to figure that out as yet. But as I said, it's going to be a very wet race getting on through. We might have a different situation play out rather than if it was a dry session. That is Cody getting ahead there right now in Aston Martin. And Just trying to get his lap started first. Doesn't want to have any dirty air in front of that car running. So let's see how the lap is going to go by the time they get around to get started on their hot laps here. So quite a few cars getting out on track, yes, one after the other here at the moment. I think you have Clarky getting out there as well. So this might actually end up being quite interesting to see what's going to happen in the case of the top 10 that's going to be going over to Q3. Okay, so we got a few guys on hot laps here at the moment, so let's see who's going to be first to get a lap time in. Let's switch back to Extremist here right now, see where he is on track. So still running through Sector 2 at the moment. Do expect quite a few interesting times because we're already down to about 11.5 minutes left. Remember, they have to account for the time to get out and do an out lap. Then they get to do hot laps and then an in lap back to the pits. I think majority of I think all of our cars are possibly out on track right now except for I think X there and Cody went back into the pits. So far we got Draw fastest lap in the session 126.1, Walker down to second 126.4, going quite interestingly well so far with at least those two lap times in. Now Clock goes third fastest 126.8. They're only off by a few tenths on each other at the moment, so let's see if that continues on through. Waiting for Extremist, and he's getting back into the pits right now, not gonna finish a lap unfortunately. So probably not going as expected here. On with Beefy here at the moment, running in Sector 2. Let's see how well his lap is currently going. His teammate currently up there in second on the grid. Remember, it was a P1, P2 finish down in qualifying 1 for the AlphaTauri guys. So let's see if they're able to repeat that here for qualifying 2 as well. That looks like Beefy gets a purple Sector 2, so it looks like he might be on for a pretty good lap. Let's see, I'm not sure what the Sector 1 time was like. Let's see how he finishes off Sector 3 though. Might actually put himself up in the top 3 at least here alongside his teammate there. Alright, and about to get across the line and goes third fastest on the grid, just behind his teammate 126.459. Only separated from his teammate by 3,000 of a second, so actually pretty close between the qualifying times, even though these guys did their laps on different sets of tires here, because Walker did his on mediums, Beefy did his on the softs. It's actually quite interesting to see what that case is going to be like in the race itself. We'll see what's going to happen. Down with Scotty here in 7th on the grid at the moment. No lap time as yet. Still waiting for him to get across, as he's going to do here right about now. Goes 6th fastest, only 127.2. As Christoph takes 7th with a 127.4 there. Definitely some room for improvement on these lap times. Down with Tyler here in the Alpine. And let's see where he is currently. Oh, he's only in Sector 2 at the moment and getting around. Let's have a look on board and see how well that's gonna go through for him. Looks like they've actually fixed the engine sounds that I was hearing quite differently last week. In terms of whenever we were on board with the cars, there was quite a different intensity of the song. I'm not sure if it was just on my end or not, but it seems to be fixed this week, whatever that issue was. So I think we're going to stay with Tyler here on board on the Alpine as he gets around Sector 3 here right about now. I want to see what the lap time is going to be like as he finishes off that. His teammate Scooby there on a hot lap as well. Still running possibly in Sector 2 there. Not sure, it's not Sector 2, in Sector 1. So let's see what that lap time is going to look like as he gets around to that. So around the final turn comes Tyler here and goes P7, 127.3 so far. And not overly a bad time. Of course, remember they need to make top 10 in order making it over to qualifying 3. Looks like Clarky got us up into second place on the grid at 126.1. Only about 700 of a second behind what Troft had there. Walker and Beefy still now next to each other. They're third and fourth on the grid. Glock down to fifth, Scotty down to sixth. And let's see who's going to be next to come across the line. We got our Williams driver X here. And I think he's still in Sector 2 getting around. Have the next Alpine getting back into the pit, so not going to finish that lap. Looks like Mr. Rage and Neil are out of this session, unfortunately. That's going to be possibly a 14 and 15 grid position start for them. Extreme is here, still on track, back again, trying this lap here on Sector 1, about to get down into Sector 2. Bit of a tricky braking zone getting around this turn here, but always a good point to try and set yourself up for an overtake on the old start finish straight as they're coming up to it here now. So let's see what's going to happen in terms of that section of the track during the race as well. But Extremely seems to be flying here at the moment, so let's see if he's able to finish up this lap, possibly puts himself maybe into the top 6 or top 5 with the lap time. We got a lot of 126 in this session so far. Yes, Tyler and Christoph's in the 127, and now Cody as well as he goes P10 there. Of course, that's on the mediums as well. So far, it's only been 4 drivers setting lap times on the mediums. We'll see if that's going to be a change going further into the session, but the majority of the drivers are currently on the softs there, and I think they're possibly doing that because they're trying to just get the best possible lap time, because they might be expecting a full wet start or even a intermediate start here with the rain that's going to be in the race session itself. We'll see what's going to be the case. I'm not sure if we're, as I said, we're not sure if we're having the rain at the start of the race or if it's going to just start later on in the session and progress through as to heavy rain further on in. But of course, it looks like we might be seeing these cars come out on the full wet blue striped tires in the race session itself, if it's going to get that bad with the rain. We'll see what's going to happen, because I'm not sure if we're transitioning from intermediates to wets or from just going straight to full wets. That is the Extreme is up into P6 and 126.4, 99, 400 of a second slower than what Beefy did. Still, the two AlphaTauris 4th and 5th next to each other on the grid. See if that's going to be any change going on through here. I think Glock here possibly in a Mercedes trying another lap right now, and he's going through Sector 2 at the moment. And looks like he might have given up that lap because he did invalidate there, so gonna have to let that be at least for the Walker here on another lap at the moment. Let's see if he's able to improve from that 126.4. Now remember, his previous lap was done on mediums, and he is improving so far because that's a purple Sector 1. If you do see a purple Sector 2 come off of his car right about now, I think that's going to be him heading for a P1 in this session. If he can get it, let's see what's going to happen. Seems to be taking a pretty good line along the track there as well. And does get a Fastest lap for that one at 125.5, gets all three sectors purple, so not a bad lap from Walker there. Let's see if Beefy's going to follow on through that. Just under 4 minutes left in the session. Not sure if he's going to try to improve his time there or not. On with Vintage here in the Ferrari. Let's see where he is on track right about now. Getting through the first sector, still into sector 2 soon, and let's see if he's going to improve that time. And looks like he's not going to be able to as he gets down in the grass at the side of the track. Still has the car running. So still will be able to participate in the session going on through, possibly making another time if he has enough time for it. He is down to 3.5 minutes right now. Scooby the next Alpine and running here in sales sector 3. He goes right about now. Let's see how this lap is currently going. Not a purple sector for him, but hopefully he's able to make a good enough lap time to put himself up into the top 10. Because right now we know Mr. Rage and Neil are going to be out of it. Looks like Vintage is going to be out of it as well. And there goes that Alpine into the wall. That's going to be him. Possibly starting there in 14. So 13, 14, and 15 for Mr. Rage, Scooby, and Neil respectively there in terms of their starting position. So that's going to be qualifying over for Scooby at the moment. At least we still got Cody and Vintage down in the drop zone. Let's see if they're going to be able to improve their time. Getting on through. Vintage still on a lap here, getting through. Cody on an outlap at the moment. Of course, Christoph's on an outlap as well because he is going to be in a bit of a dangerous spot there, being there in 10. Tyler might want to think about getting back out on track. We'll see if he's going to do that. Clock out on an outlap already. Just trying to improve his time, down in 7, but still doesn't want to take the chance of losing out on qualifying 3 at the moment here. So has been going quite a bit more interesting into qualifying 2 rather than qualifying 1. Especially with the lap times that we're seeing, because we got a lot of 126s in this session, a few 127s and one 125 set by Walker there, which hasn't been beaten for the qualifying session as yet. So we'll see what that's going to be like as we're on board with the Aston Martin of Cody at the moment, seeing where he is going to be at the end of this year. So we do have majority of our drivers retiring off the session right now as we're right down to the end of it. And I should be able to have a look at the results in just about a minute and a half times or so. Once again, guys, welcome to all of you joining us on the stream. Don't forget to leave a like on the video and remember to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Also remember the links to the Discord for the channel is in the description, and also for the league we are streaming for, all information is in there, so do check it out. Feel free to join on the Discord as well. I see Drafter as well has gone out on another outlap, possibly trying to improve his time or just having a run on track, see what it's like there at the moment. Does have a 126.1, a pretty good time. Possibly wants to try get it into the 125s. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get across the line in time. I think he's coming down just behind Aston Martin here, so might actually be able to do that. And Cody actually does improve his time up to a 126.7, puts himself up in the P7 with that. We do have Callum here on another outlap, getting started on that hot lap right now with 30 seconds to spare, and he has enough time there on that. So he will be able to finish this lap. Hopefully doesn't invalidate it. We'll see what's going to happen in that case there. Getting into sector 2 right about now, so let's see what the lap times are going to be looking like. And Callum actually does improve his position at least by one. He's up into ninth right about now. Puts Scotty down though to 11th now, and Christoph's down to 10th. So it looks like Scotty might be out of qualifying 3 here as well. See if we have anyone else running at the moment. I think Cody about to get across the line. Does he improve from 126.7? Doesn't look like he improved that. And he's going to stay in P8 at least for that. Let's have a look at the Q2 results, then head on over into qualifying 3. Alright, so interestingly enough, qualifying 2 results, Walker takes the fastest lap once again with that at 125.5, the only 125 in the session. And Glock goes second fastest in the Mercedes 126.0, drop down to third. In the Williams 126.1, Clarky down to fourth. We got X in fifth, Beefy down to sixth. We got Extreme there 7, Cody in 8, we got Tyler in 9, and Chris in 10. So I think we are top 10 going over to Q3. Clarky was the only one who did the fastest lap on the mediums there. I think he could have pulled off a fast lap on the softs, but let's see what's going to happen. I think everyone's anticipating a full wet start, or at least a partial wet start for the race. So we'll see what's going to happen in that case. Yes, qualifying 3 coming up next. Okay, it's into qualifying 3, 12 minutes on the clock, 10 drivers in it. So let's see who's going to be getting out on track first, and let's see how many 125s we can have in this session. So we got a few cars heading out on track already. Okay, so 8 out of 10 drivers on track. Looks like 9 out of 10. Kristaps the only one into the pit still at the moment here. We're on with Walker here at the moment on his current out. Let's see what's going on with him at the moment, because he has been the fastest driver so far, both in qualifying 1 and qualifying 2. Looking to see what his time here is going to be here for qualifying 3. Now we know everyone's going to be running on the soft tires. We're not going to keep that information on screen. Just going to keep an eye and see what's happening in terms of lap times as we're about to get started on that very soon. All 10 drivers out on track right about now. Not overly busy, there's only 10 drivers, so I think they have enough room to work with as Walker gets started on his first hot lap in this Q3 session. Just under 10 minutes remaining already. Let's see what that first lap is going to look like. Might be trying to get it back into a 125 if he can here. So let's see what's going to happen. Got a few more drivers starting behind him. Looks like his teammate Beefy is right behind him coming on through. I think they might have a Red Bull in the mix between them as well, but either way, we should see a time from Beefy, his teammate, as well, just after he gets across the line. Of course, every sector will be purple here, as he's going to be the first driver to set a lap time here for Q3. Seems to be getting through the track pretty well so far. I think he went a little bit onto the grass there, but I don't think that affected his time much. Alright guys, final two turns to get a run, and let's see what the lap time is going to look like. It might just be into the 125s. If not, I guess it's going to be a 126. But let's see, already into the 125, and does make it a 125.6 as he gets across the line. We got X there, 125.9 into second. Let's see his teammate Beefy is coming across right now, 125.910, and goes about 600 of a second faster than the Red Bull driver. Puts his car into second place, and so far it is a provisional pole for Walker there, as he has a 125.6. Let's see if he's able to keep that going on through. 126.0 puts Clarky into P4. Cody down to 5th right now, 127.3. He's going to have to try and get a faster time in. Oh, sorry, that was a Williams driver, not a Red Bull. I thought it was a Red Bull. We don't have any Red Bull in this session. It looks like no Red Bull made it down over into qualifying 3. My bad on that one. Draft here, the next Williams driver trying to get a good time in. Looks like Locke goes second fastest now, 125.8. Not a bad time, 22 tenths off of Walker's time so far. Draft here, stop the car on the middle of the track. Not going to be able to park it there, others will be disqualified for being on a dangerous location on track. I think it's just him and Extremist left right now to get a good time in. Let's see what's going to happen in this case here. Okay, so finally Extreme is on another outlap here. I don't think he kind of messed up his first one, so he's going to give this another go. We got 6 minutes left in Q3 with, I think some more drivers getting back out on another lap here. Let's have a look. Our Walker's just going for a second lap, possibly on the same set of tires. I don't think so though, because he's slowing down just a bit here. Let's have a look at Kristaps is up to right now. I think he is definitely trying to get another lap out of that same set of tires that he's currently going on, because he's on the second lap there. And let's see if he's able to improve from his 126.9 and possibly get a faster time. It needs at least to improve by about 5 tenths or even more. Just possibly trying to get into the 125s would be a better idea at this point here. But being in the top 10, still not too bad of a start. And he's getting back into the pits, possibly going to get a new set of tires on and then get her back on track. And let's see what's going to happen in that case. Now Extreme is here on his hot lap at the moment in sector 1, still going on through in the Alfa Romeo. Let's see if he's able to improve. Possibly put himself into the top 5 for the start. I'm not sure. Still, we got Walker holding on to provisional pole at the moment, a 125.6. Beefy now up into second with a 125.7, only a tenth off. Glock there into third, 125.8. Another tenth off. X down to fourth, 125.9. Another tenth off. And then Clarky down to fifth, 126. Still another tenth off of that. So quite interesting between the top 5 drivers on the grid at the moment, especially with their lap times being only a tenth off of each other on that. So it's going to be very, very interesting for the race start to see what it's going to be like, especially if the qualifying times are going to stay the way it is, because it looks like it's a it's an AlphaTauri front row lockout at the moment, because they got Walker and Beefy both P1, P2, and they're holding on to that. And they might just be able to hold on to it throughout the qualifying 3 session, and that's going to give them a pretty good start. If it does, looks like it's going to be a good season for them, because they started off pretty well last week as well. So let's see what's going to happen this week in terms of points here for that team. And constructors will have a look at all the standings coming up next Sunday. It'll be after 2 races, so it should be give us a bit more information to see where drivers are in terms of points and whatnot. So we'll have a look at that next week. Okay, so let's see what is new on track here right about now. So we're still following all the extremist CVs. Actually, let's go on back down to Cody here. Get a 127.3. Definitely trying for a faster lap on this one here. So I'm going to stay on board a bit with the Aston Martin driver, see what's going to happen in this case. Down to just about 2.5 minutes remaining for Q3 though. So not a lot of time left for the guys to work with in terms of trying to get a faster time in. Looks like draft on another outlap. Once again, trying to get a lap time in before the session closes. Hopefully he's able to get it. I think he has enough time to get around to the, yeah, definitely has enough time to get around to that start-finish line and get his final lap started here. Has a bit of traffic in front of him though, so this is going to be interesting to see how he deals with that. Looks like Walker and Beefy and Glock as well are on another outlap. Everyone trying to get a faster time maybe before the end of the session. Looks like the AlphaTauri guys do not want to lose the front row lockout that they currently have for that restart there. They want to keep it the way it is. So I think both of them on outlap at the moment. We'll see what's going to happen with that case because majority of our cars are currently back out on track. And I'm going to try to get a better time in. A lot of weaving going on Beefy's end down in the back there as the Mercedes gets through them. I think that's most likely Glock getting through there. And looks like X gets the fastest lap now. 125.5 goes a 10 faster than Walker did. So definitely they need to try and improve their current lap times as they have it there if they want to take back the front row here. Which I think Walker definitely will want to do. So we're going to see what's going to happen in that case because I think Glock is in front of them, so we're going to keep with him here at the moment as he gets on through this lap. And let's see what's going to happen in this case because we got the Mercedes running here. We got Beefy and Walker running just behind of him. See which one is behind. Looks like Walker is behind of him, so we're going to see what's going to happen. Now the clock has just run out on qualifying 3, which means everyone currently running a lap, which is majority of the grid are going to be able to finish that lap except for Extremist there. He's stuck with P7 at 126.6. That is if Tyler there and Draft doesn't get a better time in. Of course, Draft still has no time in as yet. So final lap for just about everyone on track here. So let's see what that's going to be like as they all get on through. Unfortunately, we're not able to compare laps as they are currently on it live. So we'll see what's going to happen down at the end of it here at the moment. I think he was just Glock was just a bit slower than his previous lap there. Or than his fastest time. We'll see what that's going to be like as he is going to... Oh, and looks like Walker is out of the session, unfortunately. Had a DNF there on that final lap. So let's see where he starts on the grid after this happened. Because his teammate Beefy is still running as Glock gets across the line. And looks like he stays P4 for now. I don't think he improved it. Where is Beefy? And it goes down to P5 now. Because Draft now takes away the fastest lap at 125.3. Holds on to provisional pole at least for now. And looks like Beefy's finished as well. I think that's going to be about it. Because everyone else is back into the pits. So looks like it's going to be Williams starting on the front row for this race at least. Did honestly think it was going to be the AlphaTauri guys, but unfortunately Walker was not able to make a faster time in. Got a DNF on that final sector there, I think it was. Beefy did not get a faster time as well, so they're down to third and fourth, second row for them, so really not too bad with that. So Williams out on front, Draft starting P1 on this race. Looks like his teammate X is going to start second, Walker starting third, Beefy's going to have to start fourth, Glock there down to fifth, Clarky in sixth, Christoph in seventh, Extreme is there eighth, Tyler in ninth, and Cody in 10th. Let's see, I think he should hold that way going on short term. We're possibly just waiting for Nexus car to get into the garage there before we have the results for Q3, then head straight over into the race session. I remember we did expect it might be a wet race start, so we'll see what that's going to be like as we get on over to that in about a minute's time. Alright, so there we have the results there for qualifying 3 draft to the fastest lap. They are starting P1 on this current race here. His teammate X is going to start second alongside him. The Walker starting third, BV starting fourth. So we're going to see what's going to happen in that case. Looks like both Alfa Romeo drivers are side by side on this one as well. In 7th and 8th, they're just behind each other. So we'll see what that's going to be like in the race start. Looks like there's going to be quite a few teammates fighting each other for positions on it as we get on through that. So we'll see what's going to happen in that case. Okay, so into the race session here right about now, just about 25 seconds to start it off, and looks like we are having a wet start. It might be a full wet start, I'm not sure. We'll have to wait until we get on track with the cars there right about now, but I do see a lot of intermediate tires in the garages at the moment, so it looks like we might be starting on the intermediates and then progressing on to the wets. If it does get worse with the rain on track, we'll see what's going to happen. I'm not sure if it's going to dry out further on to the end of the session. We'll see what's going to happen. Once again, welcome everyone joining on the session. If you're joining us now, we're about to get started with the formation lap, then getting into the race. It's going to be a 26 lap race, and looks like yep, everyone is on the intermediates here at the moment. We're going to have a look at our starting grid. Let's get a few stats up on screen in the meanwhile here. I'm going to take that off. I don't think that's going to be much use to us at this point here. So we do have everyone starting on the intermediate tires, so we're just going to leave that off there for now. And of course we're going to leave it on position change, so you guys can have a look at that as the race does get started in just a bit. Okay, so starting grid as it is there right about now. I'm not sure why someone was disqualified. Okay, so we do have both Williams starting P1, P2. That's a front row lockout for them. Walker and Beefy starting third and fourth. AlphaTauri taking over the second row of the grid. We got Glock starting in fifth. We got Clarky in sixth. Christophs in seventh. Extremely starts eighth on this one. Tyler starting ninth. Cody starting 10th, which is not a bad start for those top 10 there. Scotty starts 11th. Barely missing out on Q3 there. Vintage starts 12th. Mr. Rage down to 13th. Scooby will start 14th. And then we got Neil in the next Mercedes starting in 15. Studer starting 16. Mikey down to 17. Robbie in 18. Nick in 19. And Mazepin in 20. At position on the grid. We'll see what's going to happen on the opening lap with that there. I really would think it's bad luck having that PSN name, but we'll see what's going to happen. Let's have a look on board with someone here right about now, see how bad the rain is at the moment. So a lot of water on track. Not sure what the grip level is going to be like as these cars are about to get started on the track here. We're getting everyone started to get sorted back into their grid slots and about to get ready to get started. Right now, remember, it's a very short run into turn 1. It's going to be very, very wet and very slippery into this one. So drivers are going to have to be a little bit careful with their braking zones as Draft takes his position there. I'm waiting for everyone else to just get sorted onto their slots before we do get started here. Okay, so as usual, we're going to switch it on over to the driver in second position on board to see what's going to happen in terms of who gets a better start here between the two Williams teammates. Of course, we have both AlphaTauri just behind that, and then a Mercedes going onwards from there with a McLaren, and I think both AlphaTauris, both Alfa Romeos just behind in 7th and 8th. So it's going to be an interesting start. We'll see what's going to happen in the rest of the race. I'm not sure if it's going to get more wet as we get on through. We got about 5 lights on already, and let's see who gets a better start. Let's going to get a bit of an equal start, a bit of wheel spin on Draft's end on. He gets a pretty good run going into turn 1, and Walker takes over 2nd place already. So already a bit of contact going on through into turn 1. I'm not sure if we have any damage, as quite a few cars had contact going on through. I don't think X had much room to move there because he was trying to move on the other side. I think he spun around there at the moment, and he's all the way down to the back of the grid trying to get back going again. So a bit of chaos down in the back. We might have a VSC for this, I'm not sure, or if this is just going to be yellow flag situation, as everyone's still getting on through. I don't think anyone is out of the race at the moment. We can see the position changes that did happen. So X all the way down to the back of the grid, started 2nd and just didn't get the best possible start going on through that. We're going to go back out front at the moment, have a look at what's happening. So Walker still in 2nd place as he took over that before the 4th turn there, about 4 tenths behind Draft at the moment. Remember, we are in wet conditions. They're going to have to be a little bit careful in terms of braking zones and some of these curbs as well, as we know they're not as they're not going to have as much grip as usual here. So we'll see what's going to happen in that case, but still running in 2nd. Quite a few position changes. Cody all the way up into 5th right about now. We can see Clark lost 2 positions. Nick gained 9 positions. He's up into 10th. He started way down at the back of the grid. And where is Mazepin at the moment? Up to 13th in the Aston Martin running there. So not a bad start from him. And I think it was a pretty interesting opening lap. Looks like Glock is still running 3rd. We got Chris Ups down to 4th. All gained positions in the race so far, and there goes the AlphaTauri. Christoph's losing the rear end of the car and trying to keep it from going into the barriers on the side. It keeps it back. You're trying to get it off the grass and onto the track back again. I think he's back going again. He's gonna just be a little bit less grip than usual there. Has been up to 12 now because of his mistake there. Having a look with the Ferrari vintage and what's going on with Mazepin just behind of him. Hopefully no contact between these two as they get on through that. Let's switch this on over here. Not sure what's happening to our leaderboard at the moment. I think it's a bit mixed up. Should be getting sorted in just a bit. We'll see what's going to happen with that. We got a few cars bunched up at the back here for some reason. Let's have a look and see what's going on. Out front, it looks like Draft is getting a pretty good lead away. Walker's lost 2nd place. He's down to 3rd. Locke is now trying to catch up to Draft out in front by 1.1 seconds. So we'll see where that is going to go. A wet session. No driver out of this race as yet. Mazepin all the way down to back to 20th right now, or is that just a mix? I think that's just a mix-up happening there. I'm not sure what's happening at the leaderboard. We're going to let that be for now and see what's going to happen in that case there. Going back up here, let's have a look with, and a penalty is starting to go out already. Of course, did expect that to happen with a wet session like this. So draw fastest lap. Glock now takes it away. He's running 2nd. He's catching up actually to the Williams out front. Going a little bit wide there. And trying to keep up with Draft for P1. Let's see what's going to happen. He's about 9 tenths behind. Has Walker about another 6 tenths behind though. As you can see him coming there. Not sure if this track is going to be drying out or if it's going to be getting further more wet. We did expect heavy rain, so it might actually get a bit wet more as it is here right now. We might have to switch to the full wets if that does happen. We'll see what's going to happen in terms of the intensity of the rain, because it seems to be a bit constant right now as we get on through the first few laps here. We're into lap 3 at the moment. And cars are still quite bunched up as we're going on through this. So far so good with the top three at least. So we got going on. Cody's about 8 tenths behind. Remember, he did gain quite a few positions to get up to that position on the grid there. So he has a bit of catching up to do to the cars out front for a podium position if he does want to fight to get to that there. Looks like Draft takes away the fastest lap back once again. 1.2 seconds ahead of clock here at the moment. So let's see how that fight is going on. He's trying to gain some time and trying to build a gap between himself and clock here in second. Let's see how well that's actually going through for him. Cody here chasing after Beefy and quite a few cars in the mix here. That McLaren getting very close to the Aston Martin there. And that is Clarky down there in the McLaren down in 6th. Extremist running very close behind. Nick down there in 8th as well. So this might be a bit interesting going on here right about now. We're keeping an eye on Clarky and McLaren, see what's happening between him and Cody. Running in Aston Martin in front of him because he's looking to get an overtake done. Guys, I have to be a bit careful about this though. We got some pit stops happening down at the back of the grid. Remember, the track is not going to have as much grip as we expect it to here right about now. And this is getting dangerously close between these two cars here. Beefy out front trying to get away from them as much as he can. Might be having a peek at the back to see what's going on with these two cars as they're starting to get a bit closer to him right now. A bit dangerously close as well. So he's going to have to be a bit careful about that. And Extremist gets a penalty down there in 7th behind all of this as he's watching it unfold. Nick putting him under a bit of pressure at the back there as well. So it looks like Extreme is stuck between two McLarens at the moment, and really not a good position for him to be in. We do have Draft and Clock out front fighting it for the lead of the race as that McLaren tries to push it on through and actually gets around the Aston Martin. So that's Cody down a position. We do have Extremist trying to get around him there on the outside as well and pushes him a bit wide off track. He takes a position. Of course, the next McLaren with Nick coming through and takes away 6th. That is Extremist back down to 7th. So gained the position, lost the position to a driver that was behind him. So quite an interesting piece of racing going on here. So now we got both McLarens running 5th and 6th in the race, chasing after Beefy right about now. He's not in a good position because these two are going to try and team up and come behind him. So let's see what's going to happen in that case. Cody down to 7, losing some time right about now. Extreme is down to 8. He's about 2 tenths behind the Aston Martin. Might be trying to get around him if he can. I think his teammate is about 5 seconds behind, so not too worried about that. And they're going side by side on this one here. See how well that's going to work out. Looks like it goes pretty well. So Cody holds on to 7th here at the moment. I think we're going to switch it on over to Clarky out here with Beefy here, trying to get around the AlphaTauri if he can, using a bit of that slipstream. Goes side by side with him, takes it on the inside, and looks like he might just be able to get that overtake done with. Well, let's see if Beefy's going to come back around the outside, has a better run with it. Still is able to keep his side by side through. Goes around the outside and looks like he holds it going into the next lap there. With both McLaren extremely close, this is not going to go too well. He needs to find a way to get a gap going between them if he can here at the moment. Walker getting a 3-second penalty, running up there in 3rd ahead of his teammate by 13 seconds. And looks like these two McLarens are going to be getting a bit held up here by Beefy because they're looking to get by but not able to get overtake done as yet. The Honda engine is able to keep the car ahead, at least for now. A bit of defending on Beefy's end as well, trying to prevent these cars from getting that overtake fully done, because it looks like it might be both McLaren getting past him if they're actually able to pull it off here. So let's have a look. They're going to switch it on over to Clarkis and see what's going to happen, because Nick is fighting his way through this as well. He's trying to keep as close as he can to his teammate to try and get a double pass here and put themselves up a position each if they can against that AlphaTauri. We got a few penalties at the moment. We're going to see what's going to be the situation with that as you get further into the race. That slipstream seems to be working pretty well as he pulls alongside, tries to take it around the outside, but is covered by Beefy's car, and tries to pull it back on the inside. Still not able to get overtake done. Car placement is actually pretty important getting through, and there's a bit squeezed on the outside as well. And Beefy's definitely fighting this one coming on through. I think they've been switching it back and forth here as they still go side by side down that straight into turn 1, and let's see who's coming out in front. Looks like Beefy still holds on to P4, but only by a tenth of a second. Nick still following on behind all of this, and in 6th, keeping about 2 to 3 tenths behind his teammate, looking to get an overtake done the same time there as well. Beefy desperately trying to hold on to that position there though. And looks like we got a DNF from Neil there, who is currently out of the session, and that's resulted in a full safety car. Now this might trigger a few pit stops here. Let's put on tires here at the moment and have a look what's going to happen in that case, because I think we might have a few pit stops happen during the safety car here, but cars do have to get all the way back around the track in order to get into the pit lane at the moment. But interestingly enough, that this safety car came at this point here, so Neil out of the race unfortunately. One driver out so far. Quite an improvement from last week, which we had going on. Extremists is currently down to 8 there, I think. Let's see what the situation is going to be in terms of pit stops going on out in front. Ross still leading the race out from the start. Now, this point here, right about now, his teammate is further on down the grid. Walker moved up a position up into 2nd. Walker moved out as well up into 3rd. Beefy running in 4th. Clark here now running 5th. Nick running 6th. Cody in 7th. Extremist 8th. Kristaps in 9th. And X there in 10th, who started the race up in 2nd. But he's fighting his way back up the grid at the moment. Looks like our cars out front did not pit. Walker, of course, did take a pit stop here. And that's Mazepin with a 3-second penalty. Looks like both AlphaTauris are into the pits. They're going to double stack these. I'm not sure how that was a good idea or not. Where is Beefy's car? But he does have a bit of room. He's coming in about 15 seconds behind, so they have enough time to get both cars in and both cars out of the pit without getting one driver held up here. So our race leaders there, Draft and Clock, did not do a pit stop under the safety car. Majority of the rest of the grid are actually getting into the pits right now, so pit lane is actually quite busy as everyone is getting back out, and it's going to follow behind the safety car. Remember, it's a 26 lap race. We're into lap 8 at the moment. That leaves us at least about 18 laps more to go. At least about 16 laps more will be racing. Depends on if we have another safety car or not. So we got to get another 2 laps more to follow under the safety car before we do get back to racing here. Definitely has been quite an interesting race so far. Actually, it was an excellent race start, except for first two, they're not the best. See what's going on down in the back of the grid here. Here's we get a Mercedes safety car on this session here. We had the same during last week with the Belgium Grand Prix. So let's see when we are going to have the Aston Martin safety car get out for whichever races that's going to be. Not entirely sure as yet. Either way, so far so good with the drivers. Still 19 drivers in the race at the moment. Has been quite a way back though to catch up here to the safety car queue. Before we do get back started, we should be able to get back started maybe at the end of the next lap. So at the end of lap 9, I'll be going into lap 10. Gives us about 16 laps of racing. So I think I was a bit right on that one there, because we're still following just behind the safety car here. Doesn't look like he's going in. Already past the pit lane. So we're doing one more lap under the safety car. We got dropped extremely close though behind that safety car. He might want to just back up just a little bit, just to avoid possibly hitting it. Just about 3 tenths behind that right now. Looks like we got Scotty into the pits there as well. He's going to be going down the grid order just a bit. Now, I'm not entirely sure on what the situation with the rain is. It looks like it's starting to come down, maybe just a little bit more. But if this session is... And looks like Kristaps is out of the race there as well. I'm not sure what happened to him. He might have retired in the pits, because I think that's where I'm seeing his car. So just hoping that that doesn't cause an extra few laps with the safety car, because it wasn't out on track. It was in the pits, so I think that should be fine. But yeah, speaking about These two cars out front, Draft and Glock, here running P1, P2, they did not take a pit stop under the safety car. I'm wondering if they're just hoping that the rain gets worse in the next few laps to come and they will have to switch to the full wets, and they're just going to do one stop and make that change, and the rest of the grid already made a stop onto a new set of intermediate tires. So let's see if that was a waste of time for the entire grid or not, and if their strategy is going to work better for them, because the rain would have to be increasing for that to actually work for them, as he's trying to get a bit more water under the tires of this place, trying to get a bit more grip as we are about to get back racing. Hopefully at the end of this lap we should have that notification from race control before, well, by the time we get on into sector 3, which is going to be in just a few seconds time here. And welcome to Serious Mushroom, good to have him on the stream there as well. Hopefully everyone is enjoying the race as we have it going on so far into lap 9 at the moment. And yeah, we should have that safety car go in at the end of this lap here, hopefully. Let's see what's going to happen in that case. But yep, it is going to be quite interesting between Draft and Glock out front for the fight for P1. We'll see what's going to happen with that at the restart of this, because now Extremist is now behind them, X is now behind them, Walker behind them as well, Stu behind in 6. Of course, he didn't do a stop either. Walker is the only one out front on fresh tires, and hopefully he's going to get a pretty good run on the race restart. Looks like we're going one more lap under the safety car for some reason. Might have been because of Christoph's retirement. That's his fault. So now we got to go one more lap under the safety car before we do get back racing. That's going to leave us with about 15 laps of racing to go with here now. Alright, CGA is still on the stream there with us. Thanks to everyone who kept on the stream going on through. I know it's usually a long session. These race sessions usually go for about 2 hours. They usually we do like an hour of qualifying, and then the race lasts for another hour or so. About 50 minutes to an hour at least, depending on how many safety cars we have in the session. And looks like Mazepin has been disconnected from the session there. And yep, we do have Walker and Clarke both on fresh starts. It's going to get quite interesting, especially with Walker out front there, because he is between two cars who are on old tires. I'm not sure what Draft is trying to do here. I think he's trying to race the safety car or something. I don't think that's a good idea. Yep, he definitely is trying to do that for some reason. I'm not sure why he's keeping that close to it. As we usually know, the usual complaint of drivers is that the safety car is driving too slow. These cars are not made to be driving at the reduced speed that we have them going here right now. Formula 1 cars are meant to go flat out, so really not the best idea to be driving them at this speed, and drivers do get a bit annoyed with that as well. Even in actual F1, we always hear the drivers complaining that the safety car is going too slow, especially in a wet track where these guys are trying to keep heating the tires and possibly try to improve their traction for getting restart going here. Alright, so there we have it from race control. The safety car is going to go in on this lap and about to get back restarted. Draft here is going to control the grid coming behind of him. He gets to decide when to get back going on restart again. No one can overtake until they get across the start finish line. And since Draft is going to be the first one getting there, he's going to be able to try to get a bit of advantage out of it, getting around the final turn before getting across that line. So let's see what's going to happen. Mazepin still trying to get back with the grid, and he's about 9 minutes 20 seconds behind. Not having the best of luck. I think that name carries some sort of curse with it, I'm not sure. Alright, so about to get back restarted here. Let's see what's going to happen with our top few cars as we have the Glock keeping very close behind that Williams. And into turn 1, they go keep it as clean as possible. Drop did go slightly bit wide, as it was Walker here. We're going to keep an eye with him as he's trying to get around already and gets up into P4. Has the fresh tires on, so has a bit of an advantage with that. That Williams trying to fight it back though, but not much luck with it. Clarke there running a 6, 1.3 seconds behind. He might be gaining some time, already down to a second, so he's definitely gaining some time and trying to fight his way through the grid. Walker with a second to catch up to Extremist in third, trying to get back onto a podium position if he can. Clarke there 3 tenths behind and he's running pretty good with that position. Let's have a look down at the back here, because I see Callum is only running, trying to run side by side with someone there. We got a 3-car situation going on at the back here as well, with vintage Mr. Rage, and I think with yeah, definitely a switch happening there with that Red Bull and Ferrari going on through. So that's Mr. Rage up into 15th. Robbie just ahead of them. Not too far off actually, so we'll see how that's going to continue on as we get back out in front here right now, following on with Walker on board. Let's have a look as he's going to get past Extremist, takes it around the outside and might actually be able to pull this off here. Has the pace on those fresh tires and actually gets the position up, as those cars that did not pit are running 10 laps on those intermediates right about now. They're going to start to go off just a bit in a few laps time, and then they will have to change at some point here. Let's see what's happening in that case. Out in front, we got a 4:10 gap between Draft and Glock. They're fighting for the lead of the race. We're going to keep on with that for a moment. Clarky are getting about 3/10 behind the Williams and trying to get a position up. He might be able to do that in just another half a lap or so. We'll see what's going to happen with that case. Out front, though, these two running on old tires at the moment. Walker trying to catch up. 2.6 seconds is what the gap is, and I think he might actually be able to catch up to them very quickly. And he's going to be looking to get back the lead of the race once these two decide to take a pit stop here, which we're going to see when that's going to happen. I'm trying to have a look on board to see if the rain is getting any worse or not. I think they're trying to have a look at the same thing to decide whether to keep on these tires until another switch is to happen. It looks like Draft gets a pretty bad exit as Glock gets up into P1, takes away the lead and gets it away pretty well. Already in front by about 2/10. Still being chased by that Williams though. And let's see if he's able to hold this on true, because we know Draft is going to try to get that position back if he can here. And these two have been switching fastest lap throughout the race for most of the laps so far. We're into lap 12 at the moment. Let's see what's going to happen. A 3:10 gap between them. 2/10 between X and Extreme is down at the back. So he's getting pretty close on that one there as well. Walker trying to catch up. He's gained about 4:10 so far. Let's switch this back over to the overhead camera, have a look at what's happening down at the back here with the next Williams driver there. Has Clarky about 3/10 behind, so this is going to be a bit interesting right about now. Clarky on fresh tires, Beefy on fresh tires, 2.5 seconds behind as well. Let's see how that gap is going to work out as they go down that straight. We know the McLaren is gaining time here. Has two cars to deal with in front of him, so the view is not going to be as best. And there he goes, takes it on the inside, gets a pretty good exit, and is now going to be after Extremist to take away P4. So up one position already. And he's doing some glitching magic here. Now we have a lot of penalties on the grid, so we're going to have a look at these penalties to see how that's going to work out with our drivers further on into the session. We'll have a look and see what's happening. Down in 11th, I can see Scotty in the Haas chasing after Cody in the Aston Martin out front. A bit of a train of cars going on through in the midfield here. So I'm going to keep an eye on this for a bit, see what's happening. As gap out in front with Cody and I think with Stu is about 2/10 or 3/10. We're a bit closer here with the Haas running behind. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Looks like one of the Williams fell down quite a few positions. Not sure what happened out front, but Clark is up into P5. Got an Alpine behind Scotty here as well, so he's trying to get a position. I think both Alpines are behind him, and that's not really too much of a good sign, as I think that Williams driver is having some serious trouble. Down to 15th on the grid. Might have damage on the car, I'm not sure. We'll see what's going to happen in that case. We did have a yellow flag situation with that there as well. Tyler takes a penalty as well. Cody here trying to keep Scotty behind, just trying to take up as much space out front. Of course, he does have Stu in front of him in P8, so that's a Red Bull in front. We'll see what's going to happen in that case. Tires as it is, looks like they're all kind of even on that there, except for Stu, and he goes off. He positions Nick and Cody down. Someone's into, I think Nick is into the pits right now. Back on board as the Aston Martin takes it to the right side, puts it back on the racing line right about now into turn 1 and holds it on through pretty well. We're having a pretty good look between Stu and Cody here. See what's happening with that case. Looks like Scotty is not going to take the chance of trying to outbrake them into a turn. He's just going to wait on this and watch these two trying to fight it out. They have a bit of contact in front, and he's trying to get a gap to get on through this. And might just go alongside him right about now into the next turn. Let's see how that's going to work out. actually not the best, so he's going to have to just keep that position for now. Into lap 14 at the moment. There's still a bit of a train across going behind, all about 2 or 3 tenths behind each other as we have it. That's a Red Bull getting past the Alpine. Mr. Rage is up to 10, Scooby down to 11th with that there, and there goes the Haas side by side with the Aston Martin and going on to, so Scotty might be able to get his position down. That's straight, and looks like he gets it through on the old start finish straight there. So he's up into 8th. Mr. Rage is now up into 9th. Cody has lost 2 positions. He's down to 10th. With an Alpine behind him, about 3 tenths there. Robbie there in 12th, about 2 tenths behind as well. Let's have a look and see what's happening with that, because still quite close between these cars as we have it here. This could potentially end up ending pretty badly here. We got both Alpines fighting for positions with the Haas, and we got some contact happening there between the Haas and the Aston Martin as well, and that's Cody and Robbie. Cody not having the best of races here, lost quite a few positions here, and he's trying to find his way back up the field. Then we have someone went a bit off track there. That was I think Tyler. He's getting back on right now. Lost the position down to 12. Cody in 11. Trying to follow on through to see what's happening out front. We'll have a look in just a bit, see what's going on with our race leaders. But at the moment here, so 2 drivers lost in the race still so far. Only was Kristaps and Neil there. Mazepin now down by about 4 laps. I'm not sure if he was even connected. A bit of contact between Cody there, and I think that's Callum out in front. Actually, no, I think that was Scooby there, because he's now ahead of him. Got Mike in the Ferrari trying to get by up into 13th. He might be trying to take it on the inside, and let's see if he actually gets this through. Seems to be glitching just a bit. And we're going to have a bit of a switch happen as these two get on through here. So looks like the Ferrari gets up a position. Cody not having the best of races here. Aston Martin, he's now down into 14th. Has the next Ferrari coming behind of him. And is now kind of stuck in that position. Let's have a look on board with Vintage as he tries to keep up with the Red Cody out in front. I think most of our gaps out front have increased just a bit. Glock still leading the race, drop down to 2nd. Walker running 3rd. Clarky running 4th. Extremist in 5th. Beefy in 6th. Scotty in 7th. And Mr. Rage there in 8th. Gets past Scotty right about now. What's happening out front? Let's have a look. Looks like Scotty has a bit of an issue. Got off track. Doesn't look like he has any damage on the Haas, but gets back going there right now. And is running in 8th. Lost a position there to the Red Bull in front. Now has to deal with an Alpine coming up behind him. Trying to have a look at the rain, see what that situation is like right now. So 15 laps for the cars who did not pit out front. We're having a second set of pit stops happening down at the back of the grid. Let's see when those cars out front will decide to pit what's going to happen, because the gap between them is about a few seconds at the moment here. Alright, looks like Glock is still not on to the fastest lap there and is gaining some time right about now, 3 seconds ahead, as we're currently watching on here with Mikey and Scooby fighting for positions. Look like the Alpine does have it and loses it back again to the Ferrari, who takes away 9th position from him. Let's see if he's able to get that position back. As the moment as it is, I don't think he might be able to get it right away. It's about a 4:10 gap between them. Cody currently running in 12th with about a 6:10 gap between him and Vintage. Vintage actually now goes into the pits to get onto a new set of tires there apparently. Not sure if he has any damage or not. 16 laps now have been done on those tires for Glock and Draft out front, as well as Extremist there, who's running in 5th. 14 laps for Mr. Rage, who took an early pit stop. I think that was there. So let's see when these guys decide to do a stop. We coming on to lap 17. We got about 10 laps still to go in this race, so these guys do a stop right about now. It's just going to be a one-stop situation for them because they've actually pulled off quite a number of laps on these set of tires that they're currently running on. I think that just kind of depends on your setup that you're running on the car in terms of oh, there goes that Alpine goes a bit wide. That was Tyler. They're trying to get back on track. Remember, it is very slippery on track here as he's trying to get back going here right now, trying to avoid getting caught up with the traffic and having any incidents caused and getting a penalty just for that. So he's now up into 17th and running. It looks like Mazepin is still disconnected from the race, so probably won't be counted, so I'll just count it as we're on with 17 drivers to finish off this race here. Alright, let's get back out front here just a bit. Normally it's a wet session. We did expect this might end up happening with terms of gaps starting to form between drivers as it is. So out front, Glock still leads the race here though with Trough there about 4.2 seconds behind of him. 17 laps done for both of them on those set of tires that they have on. Walker running 9 laps on his set of tires currently that he made 1 pit stop so far for. We'll have a look at penalties in just a bit, what that's looking like. But this is going to be a bit interesting to see what's going to happen in terms of pit stop strategy with our top 2 cars at the moment on the grid. Because it doesn't look like the rain is going to ease up at any point where we can go onto the dry tires. It just keeps coming. And it looks like we might be finishing the race right with the intermediates. I think they're trying to see if we're going to be doing a switch to full wets. That's why they're staying out. At least that was my initial thought with it. But they're already 17 laps down on them. If they were going to make a switch, I would assume they would do it by now. But the rain seems to be, I really can't tell. You got to just be on board with one of these cars to have a look and see if it's actually coming down a bit more or not, if the track is getting any more wet. Because if it gets with too much standing water on track, then it will have to switch on to the full wets, the blue stripe tires. And that's going to be an extra pit stop there. So I think everyone's going to be holding off and possibly just watching the rain in this case and see what's happening with that. On board with our race leader Glock here in the Mercedes, see what's happening with his car so far. Looks like he's having pretty decent grip even on those old tires. 4.4 seconds is what the gap between him and Drop still, and he's trying to keep that as constant as he can, getting on through. Trying to have a look if we have any close gaps in the red order so far. I think by the time we get a few more pit stops happening, we should have some gaps closing on up. It's lap 19 of 26 at the moment and still running with 17 drivers in this. We're not counting Mazepin as he's disconnected from the session. I think he's about to be lapped here by Glock as well. And it looks like Robbie takes away the fastest lap and he's running down doing 13, but on fresh tires, so let's see how that's working out for him. I think we'll switch this on over to penalties and have a look what we got going on. So the penalty situation at the moment, there are 3 seconds for Glock so far. We got 3 seconds for Walker as well. So if things do stay the way it is, looks like Glock can still win the race, but he needs to keep a gap of over 3 seconds between him and Draft. Walker there with 3, Clark with 3, Extremist with 9 seconds. Will be losing positions because of that. Beefy, no penalties so far, as well as Mikey there, Cody as well, and X and Vintage, all with no penalties. The rest of the drivers do have quite a bit of penalties going on through, especially with Stu there down in 16th. We'll see if that's going to hold going on through the race. We're going to put this back on tires for the moment and have a look and see what's happening. As you can see, Glock being very, very careful of the exit of these turns to not lose that rear end, and doesn't want to be losing his gap that he has there. So he knows he has a penalty and needs to keep at least 3 seconds away from the car behind in order to keep a race win here at this point. Lap 19 on this set of tires so far. We got about 6 laps or 6.5 laps at least to go before we close off this race. So I'm not sure if these guys are trying to push those tires all the way to the end of the race, and how possible is that at this point here, or are they going to make a switch pretty soon on and to a new set, or they're just going to try to finish the race just to take away P1. Of course, it's working pretty well for them so far under the wet conditions. We do have Walker though, 11 laps on his set of tires that he's currently running on, and if those cars in front of him do not pit, I highly doubt he might be taking another pit stop here. He just took another penalty though, so that's a 6-second penalty for him. Clock here with 9, so we'll see what's going to happen in terms of grid positions as we get further on to the end of the race, but we will have these positions switch up quite a bit here. Draft, of course, on the other hand, stands a chance here of taking away the win for this race if neither him or Glock are going to do a pit stop, but he needs to close the gap as he has it there right now. It's 4.7 seconds, and it's just been increasing as we're going on through the past few laps, so not sure if he's going to be able to improve his gap that he has going. Well, keep an eye on him and see what's going to happen in that case there. Okay, so into lap 21, let's see if we do have any gaps starting to close up. Looks like Beefy is actually getting pretty close off to Extremis here. Now he's run 12 laps on his tire so far. Extremis running 20 laps. Hasn't done a pit stop in this race so far. Now being it's a wet race, it's not mandatory that they have to do a pit stop and use 2 different tire compounds here because it's a wet race. So it is going to be allowed if they are able to make it to push those tires all the way to the end of the race. And 21 laps done so far, so interestingly enough to see what's happening with that. So we're getting on board with BPC, see how close he's actually getting, and he's pretty close, about 5/10, half a second behind Extremis at the moment. Now he does have fresher tires on. Let's see if there's going to be any sort of advantage to him in terms of gaining that position there. He doesn't have any penalties, will be getting the position either way. Okay, so at least 4.5 laps in order to close off this race. So let's see what's happening. We're going to keep an eye on these two right about now. The closest gap we have on track, I think it just went at just a bit under 5:10. So Beefy closing the gap, and he's going to continue trying to do that, getting further on to the end of the race here. Of course, conditions on track have not improved. Hopefully, enough grip available for them as they try to continue to the end of this race here. Out in front, 5.7 seconds is what Glock leads Draft by right now. And even with a 6-second penalty, looks like he might be able to make it because he's improving that gap, possibly trying to put it above the 6 seconds right now. I'm not even sure how he's pulling this off with 22 laps done on that set of tires. Draft at 21 laps done on his set, and now 22 because he's now into lap 23 there as well. We got a very close gap between Extremis and Beefy. These two are definitely going to be having maybe a switch happen within the next 2 laps at least here, if Beefy is able to find a gap to go ahead. Of course, Mr. Rage there just behind in 7th though. He's following these two as well and breaking down his gap down to about 6/10 right now. So looks like he might be looking to get a position up as well. So 3 cars fighting for 5th position. Well, a potential 5th position in the race. We know Beefy's going to gain the position either way because of the cars in front of him having penalties and whatnot. So we'll see what that situation is going to be like. We'll be bringing penalties on in just a bit and have a look at that going all the way to the end of the race and see what that is going to be like in terms of who's going to be losing positions and who's going to be staying where they are. A few cars only without penalties here, but it is a wet session. Do expect a lot of cars will be testing track limits and yeah, getting some penalties, so it does tend to happen that way as well, but has been quite big improvement compared to what we had happened last week in terms of how many drivers actually finished this race. We're up to 17 drivers still to cross the line here into lap 23. So it's looking pretty good so far. We'll see what that's going to work out. Down in 11th here, looks like Nick in the McLaren going side by side with Scooby in the Alpine. And he's going to take it on the inside, try to get that position up, gets the overtake done pretty well, and goes up into P10, trying to score some points here. Of course, penalties might be costing him that, but let's see what's going to happen as we go further into the race. There's about 2.5 laps remaining to go at this point here. Trying to have back a look out front, guys, see what's happening with our gaps there. Looks like Walker's lost a bit. He's now 3.6 seconds behind. I'm not sure if he's gaining or losing there. I actually think he's gained a bit of time, but still, hopefully he's able to keep that position. We'll see what situation is going to be, because he is with about 6 seconds of penalties, I think it is. Let's go back to his teammate here, though. Beefy chasing after Extremist still, and still being chased by Mr. Rage in 7th. And looks like this might just continue all the way to the end of the race. I think he's just trying to keep his gap as close as he can. Since we're into lap 24 already, leaves us just 2.5 laps to finish this off. They're getting a 3-second penalty there. Looks like Cody is out of the race, unfortunately. I'm trying to see where that happened on track. And looks like that might have happened down there in Sector 2. Let's see if we can have a look on board here. There's this car at the side of the track. Not sure what happened there. Looks like there's going to be a yellow flag as this car was just rolled to the side of the track there. So I think that's blocking traffic on the racetrack. So that should not be a VSC or a safety car either way. I think that's just going to continue on. So let's go back here with Beefy in P6 at the moment. Still chasing after Extremists and still being chased by Mr. Rage. As we said, this might just continue all the way to the end of the race. So looks like we're into lap 25. Just a lap and a half or so more to finish off the British Grand Prix. It has been quite an interesting session as well, with the rain just falling all the way through the race. Been on intermediate, so I did expect it might have gotten worse. We might have had to make a switch over to the full wets, but didn't happen in that situation. I think a few drivers were holding out for that possibly as well. We do have at least 3 drivers I can see who did not do a single pit stop in this race, and that's going to be Glock, Troft, and Extremist, running P1, P2, and P5 respectively for them there, and they're going to be finishing off this race with the tires that it started on. And let's see how well that's going to be, because that's quite an achievement for them there, not doing a single pit stop with it. And they're able to actually keep their grip level up. And tire management has been quite important in that aspect going on through so far, because they actually seem to be pretty good at it, especially in a wet, managing it very well to take the cars all the way to the end of the race on that set of tires. And looks like Glock is finally into the final lap of the race there right now. We're still following on with these 3 cars as we have it here. Looks like the Red Bull is trying to catch up to the AlphaTauri as much as he can here. We're trying to keep a close eye on them as they get on through this. They will be entering themselves into the final lap in just a few seconds time here, and this battle might just continue all the way to the end of the race. We're going to keep penalties on as we go on to the end here. So it looks like we'll have at least 16 drivers finish the race, which is not a bad finish for us here. Yeah, I think these 3 might be fighting it all the way to the end of the finish line at the moment as a little bit of gap that they have going. Unless something goes horribly wrong. Looks like the AlphaTauri is trying to push it through the inside and might be able to push this on through to the next car. No, actually no. Extremist gets it back and holds on to P5. Does want to get across the line. With a 9-second penalty though, will be losing it. And even if Mr. Rage gets by, he still will lose back that position there. So these 3 definitely will be continuing on into the they actually will be getting across the line the positions that they are there. Trying to follow on with Glock here as he gets on through think he started down third on the grid. Now running P1, didn't do a single pit stop, took over the lead of the race, dropped there, started on the lead, and currently running in second. Walker running off the third. Let's see how they're going to be finishing. Looks like they will be getting across the line for that, and Glock takes the win for the British Grand Prix. Not a bad finish for him. 0 pit stops on that one there as well, so an interesting finish. Droff gets across the line, takes second so far. Let's see what change up happens with the penalties that we have in play here right about now. Where is Walker on track as he comes across the line, and he's waiting for the McLaren to get past him because he knows what the penalty situation was with that. So Walker takes third so far. And we got Clarky taking fourth. Let's see what's going to happen. If anything, I don't think anything's going to change for the podium finishers. So it looks like it's going to be P1, 2, and 3 for Glock, Draft, and Walker so far as it is. Extremist comes across the line, goes down to 7. Beefy takes away 5th. Mr. H goes up to 6. Scotty gets a 3-second penalty. Coming around, looks like he's going to have a switch with Mikey after he gets across the line, because it's only a 1.7-second gap. So he goes up to 8. Scotty down to 9th. Nick coming across in just a bit with a 6-second penalty. Robbie behind him with a 9-second penalty, so that's going to stay as it is there. A bit of a switch might happen down at the back. Let's have a look. There's a 9-second penalty here with Scooby and Alpine, but of course the gap is just a bit too much. So Nick 10th, Robbie in 11th, Scooby in 12th. We got X finishing in 13, Vintage 14th, Tyler there 15th, and Stu there in 16th. Cody, Christoph, Neil unfortunately not able to finish the race. Matt's been having connection issues and not able to finish that race session either on. We'll have a final look at the preliminary results before closing off this session, but quite an interesting race this week, and Robbie takes a driver of the day on that one. Not a bad finish. Alright guys, so there is your race winner there. Glock driving for Mercedes takes the win for the British Grand Prix. Round 2 here for Slipstream Racing on IG8Live Esports. And Droff takes second place in the Williams. AlphaTauri with Walker taking third place on the podium. Not a bad finish for them. Then we got Clark here taking P4. Beefy takes P5. Not a bad finish for him. Mr. Rage in 6. Extreme is there in 7. Mikey in 8. Scotty takes 9. Nick takes 10th. And that's for a top 10. At least getting some good points there. Robbie takes the fastest lap, but unfortunately he finishes 11th on the grid. So I'm not sure how that counts for him. Scooby there finishes 12th. We got X in 13. Vintage 14. Tyler in 15. Stu in 16. And that's, I think it was for drivers who finish off the race there. Cody didn't get a finish. Neither did Christophs or Neil, and Mazepin was disconnected for majority of the race, so will not be getting any positions stored on that either there. So quite an interesting race. Thanks to everyone who joined on to the session for us. Don't forget to leave a like on the video on YouTube, guys, and make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and remember to keep an eye out on the channel. We do have another race coming up tomorrow at 8 p.m. British time. That's going to be about 3 p.m. Eastern for me. So thanks to everyone who joined on, and thanks to Wildflower for hosting us on Twitch, and everyone on the chat. Good to see you guys join on there. That was a lot of fun to have you guys there as well. So I'll see you guys tomorrow for the next race session.